So now we're going to look at a Latvian Gambit very quickly, and this will be our 17th installment of the Latvian Gambit. And we're going to see a partially declined Latvian Gambit where they attempt to play what amounts to a King's Gambit in reverse. And this is rather interesting because when you talk about castling on either side, white does it in this case. So without further ado, we'll look at this game. I will start the engine. This is a fairly quick game. It's extremely passive, as we've seen before. I had a choice here, of how to play this, and I went directly after the f-pawn with my bishop, daring him to protect it. Now, as you see, knight to h4 is the preferred move by the computer, protecting it again, which amounts to rather a nuisance move. I just take it, allowing him to have my d-pawn if he wants it, or to ruin my kingside pawn structure. I allow the pawn structure to get ruined. And now, if you look at this position, what did he have a choice of? d4 with a slightly negative game. It's interesting that the computer says even after d4 that this isn't a good position for white. White is very passive, black has complete control of the center, the g file being open is to white's, or rather black's favor. So now he compounds the problem by hemming in his own white squared bishop and intending to castle queenside, which gets nowhere. And it's interesting that bg4, bishop to g4, is a good move here. Instead, I move this move, which is not as accurate, but it still maintains an advantage. And he says he should just chase it. That my idea of exchanging is flawed. So, obviously, if I do exchange it and he keeps that b file open, it makes castling queenside more problematical for me. So he castles queenside, which the computer also talked about. And now this move is almost automatic. Now what's interesting about this is that there is a good defensive move for white, and it's king to b2. And that's what I would have played, and I would recommend it. But computers make these obscure king defensive moves, and they're extremely good. As you can see, just removed an escape square for his own queen. I castle, which isn't completely accurate because it still allows him to play king to b2. And he makes a ridiculous move that serves no purpose whatsoever. Okay, so we proceed with the checking and now bridge the rook, and the game's pretty much over. And you can see that this is going to be an attack that is going to succeed. He's going to have to give up a c-pawn now, and what makes matters worse is really his only hope is to free himself up some left space for his king. Maybe move his king into the corner somehow, and this is a very difficult defensive task at this point. Okay, so he moves the king in the corner. We push the pawn. These are all, interestingly, really good, accurate computer moves. Now, the fact is that there's lots and lots of threats here. Not only is pawn takes pawn a threat, bishop to e6 becomes a threat. Now if he tries to oppose the queen, he gets checked instead. Basically, this game's shot for white. So it happened very quickly in just a few moves. It says he should be playing pawn takes pawn. Well, now it changed its mind, but he pushed, which was one of the recommendations. Now he gets the knight move and the game's over. So, as you can see, this is an indefensible position. He has to sacrifice his queen, or if he plays c3, he gets pawn takes pawn. So the whole thing fell apart very quickly, and that's the end of this particular episode.